I'm deep in the Lynn Woods, inside the belly of the beast, Dungeon Rock. Some say that this place is seriously haunted. Do you worry that it's actually haunted?
For sure. Yes, absolutely.
Others that it hides the treasure of 17th century pirate Thomas Veal.
He's in the cave, the treasure's in the cave, and he's smashed flat. So this rock becomes his dungeon.
One thing that is certain, it was dug by a man who believed he was being led right here from beyond the grave. So there is a supposedly haunted cave here in Lynn. We're gonna get to the bottom of this spooky story, and our quest begins right here.
I grew up not too far from the woods. We definitely learned about Dungeon Rock as kids, for sure. It's a pretty cool and compelling story.
In the mid-1800s, the woods entered an ominous chapter, becoming a hotbed of the paranormal, thanks to a Massachusetts man named Hiram Marble, a member of a social religious movement called spiritualism.
They had mediums that believed that they could speak to people that have passed on, and so Hiram Marble would use these mediums.
Marble purchased the land in Lynn Woods because he believed he was being led there by one spirit in particular, the ghost of a pirate from the 1600s named Thomas Veal.
Stories have it that there was a pirate who ended up taking up shop there, hiding with his treasure. An earthquake happened and he was sealed in the cave with the treasure, allegedly.
The pirate story first appeared in print nearly 2 centuries after it supposedly happened, and soon versions began popping up all over. And it was against this backdrop that Hiram Marble and his son Edwin would spend 30 years relentlessly digging a cave in search of the remains of Thomas Veal and his buried treasure. A cave still there today, Dungeon Rock.
Would you be interested in joining me for a little trip to the pirate cave?
There are a lot of people who still go to Dungeon Rock. I'm just not one of them.
Wait, you've never been inside?
No.
Why?
It creeps me out a little bit.
Do you worry that it's actually haunted? Like, do you?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure?
Yes, absolutely. I don't need to encounter that spirit.
At the edge of the woods, today a 2,200-acre park, we met up with Ranger Dan Small, our guide into the heart of Hiram Marble's unholy obsession. There was no turning back now.
There are people who won't go in. At one time, 20 years ago, I had an assistant ranger, and he was a rugged guy. He was like a regular guy, but he would not go in there.
As the original story goes, one night in 1658, a mysterious ship appeared in the bay. 4 men, including Thomas Veal, were seen rowing from it up the Saugus River. They took up residency in the woods.
And he had the treasure with him, which is the important part.
3 of the pirates were captured by authorities, but Thomas Veal escaped.
He ran up into here with the treasure. Behind this big rock that you're standing next to, there's actually a natural cave.
And there he lived for a time, until a great earthquake struck and collapsed his makeshift abode.
That's why it's called Dungeon Rock. This is the pirate's dungeon, because a big boulder has him trapped underneath it.
As for the veracity of this old yarn,
There were pirates in this area at that time. There really was a guy named Tom Veal. There's records of him in the Salem court.
But while there are first-hand records of earthquakes here in 1638 and 1663, there wasn't one in 1658.
Another major fault with the story, too, is nowhere before about 1850 or 1840 is there any reference to this area being called Dungeon Rock.
True or not, Hiram Marble wholeheartedly believed the tale. As for people today,
I've found ritually killed chickens. I've found things with candles and coconut and all sorts of things that were set up. It's easy to dismiss it all as a hoax or hooey, but the reality is a lot of people still believe that there's something going on up here, and who am I to say there isn't?
out of excuses and reasons to stall, it was time to enter this literal underworld. Inside, it is cold, it is damp, and it is dark. The tunnel is erratic.
They actually would hold seances in the cave. The ghost would appear and he would say, go right, go left, and that's why it makes these abrupt changes.
And it abruptly ends, 174 feet from the start, with 2 stagnant pools of water.
We got a trusty ghost meter here. It runs on a 9-volt battery, so I'm not sure how much of a ghost meter it can really be, but we're gonna turn it on and see what we find here at the end of the cave. All right. The needle seems to be doing absolutely nothing in any direction. Oh, a little bounce here. Honestly, what the was that?
Turns out it was just some kids messing with us.
That was legitimately for a moment terrifying.
In the end, there were no ghosts, there was no gold. A disappointment I think the Marbles might relate to. Hiram passed away in 1868. Edwin kept digging until his death in 1880 and is buried in an unmarked grave just steps from the cave's entrance. They didn't find the treasure either, but in a way, they did get what they were looking for.
Edwin and Hiram's plan from the start, and they made this very public, was that if they ever found the money, they were going to buy all this land around here and they were going to turn it into a park for the people in Lynn.
Today, it is exactly that, and their man-made cave at Dungeon Rock is free and open to the public whenever the weather allows. So yes, you can come and see it for yourself if you dare.
The Curiosity Desk is sponsored by Emerson College, inspiring curiosity and creative expression in all of us.